This is the 80s, or as I call it, the cocaine decade.
For sure.
I mean, it's kind of back again from what I understand,
Yeah.
but
The people around here don't know about that Peruvian flake.
Oh man. And we drove to Miami sometimes, like, cause you could
there's plenty
buy super cheap.
It's being distributed.
Like off of boats, like practically into your arms or
Planes
nose.
and boats.
Yeah. And you know, and I was the guy, while my college friends could do a couple of lines, and, you know, we'd put lampshades on our heads and do the whole thing. At some point at 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, they'd go to bed and get up and go to class the next day. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, let's keep going.
Right. And there was never a time where I didn't, and I mean never, not one instance ever in my life where I didn't do all the drugs that were available.
I can relate.
You know, either I ran out of money or I ran out of drugs, or I never ran out of will around drugs. And not surprisingly, by the second semester of my third year at Carolina, they asked me to leave. Like, I hadn't gone to a class for an entire semester, and who knew that meant that you were going to get kicked out of school?
Yeah.
And I began what we all know in recovery as, you know, my series of relocations. So for about 10 years, you got it. So for 10 years, I was in Seattle, Carmel, California, LA, Atlanta, St. Louis, Baltimore.
Just partying? No more school?
No, you know what? I was the guy who would, because addicts are the best salespeople.
Yeah.
I mean, we are the best. We can convince anybody that I will never do that again. I give you my word, like, no matter, and we mean it.
Yeah.
That's why we can convince them of that.
Yes.
Like, we mean it when we say it. So I'd go to Atlanta, I'd get a job selling fitness memberships, and I became, like, in a whole chain of Bally's fitness clubs. At 23, I became the top salesperson in the entire chain, and I got a girlfriend and rented an apartment, and 6 months into it, it's like, I deserve to celebrate.
Yeah.
And, and I would start that path of just destroying everything, and 6 months later, I'd move again and do it all over. And so my attitude is very much like, hey, if I could buy a car, and eventually, even at like 24, buy my first house in Monterey, California, like, I can't have a problem.
Yeah.
Like, how could this be a problem? I'm doing the stuff that you're supposed to be doing.
So financially, you were able to still, survive wherever you ended up.
I snorted everything I made, but I still managed to pay the rent and pay for the car and, whatever.
Yeah.
But and eventually, I had to go to rehab to get people off my back. I certainly didn't go voluntarily.
How old were you when you first
24.
Went to rehab? Okay.
24 years old. I go to rehab in Pacific Grove, California, and like, it was 100% to appease my father, to appease my boss. I wasn't married yet, but I was dating the woman I would marry. And, there were a lot of ultimatums coming my way at that point. And I recognized that I needed to take the heat off.
Yeah.
And I was a superstar. I got through those 12 steps in about 3 weeks and, stayed sober for 6 months because I thought that overachieving in sobriety was, what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And like, I was just going to be better at this than anybody else. And of course, 6 months to the day, I relapsed and started another. That is what I call my crack years. So that relapse led to about 4 years of hardcore crack